There is a lot of potentially awesome stuff coming this year for Star Citizen and leading into 2022, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. Star Citizen's development is pretty slow, but towards the end of each year, that's the busy time for the game, with a huge amount of events and updates all squished together. Let's take a look at what's going on and what we've got to look forward to over the next few months. Currently, we've got the Ship Showdown, that's on, so you can vote on your favourite ships up until the 23rd of September. There's a free fly coming up on the 20th to the 27th of September as well, with the top 4 ships of the Ship Showdown being flyable there. Not 100% sure if that's going to be a free-to-play event as well at the same time, so people might be able to play for free during that week. We'll have to wait and see. But the 16 most popular ships in-game are also available to purchase currently on the RSI website. Alpha 3.15 is the next major patch, and that should be going to either CARTI or First Wave PTU within the next few weeks, with the expectations of a live build somewhere in October. The patch has potentially massive changes with the new medical and injury mechanics and inventory and looting updates. It's probably the most hype patch of the year, as it sort of contains the CitizenCon event and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo as part of its cycle. Don't worry, we will talk more about that in a second, but there's also the addition of FPS defend and infiltrate missions and a multitude of new ships with the Ares Ion and Inferno, the Hercules A2 with its bombs as well, and the new version of the Redeemer. That sort of make the patch quite exciting for me. That medical gameplay though, being able to rescue people that are downed, people that get knocked down, your teammates will come out and rescue you, they'll have to heal you in lots of different ways. There's a lot more thought going into that sort of medical procedure. You're going to get injuries that need treatment. You're going to be able to loot things as well with that new inventory system. You're going to have to take the right tools with you, and it really should make playing in a group and multi-crew ships so much more powerful, because you can carry a load of stuff on them, and you can have a load more people to help you up when you're doing missions and that sort of stuff. So we should also see a lot of balance and improvements to gameplay here as well. We shouldn't forget as well that there have been some relatively big development changes that have recently been announced, though it doesn't look like Alpha 3.15 was too shaken by them. And basically Cloud Imperium have said, look, we're going to get new features when they're ready into Squadron 42, make sure they're working appropriately, and then get some tangible gameplay attached to them before we put them in the persistent universe. Again, we'll talk more about that in a moment. Something that might influence when that 3.15 patch appears though is CitizenCon. This is the biggest event of the year in terms of presentations, hype, development information, and just sort of cool stuff to show off to the community. A whole day of Star Citizen celebration and tasters of what's to come. This year it's a virtual only event. It's going to be available to watch for free on Twitch and on the RSI website, it seems, but also it's going to be part live and part pre-recorded, and it's on the 9th of October throughout the whole day. So you're going to be able to see presentations on things like the dynamic universe simulation, tools they use to build the game, planetary tech, new ships, a gameplay demo and keynote, roadmap plans, that sort of stuff. The demo they show for gameplay has typically near future examples of what they plan to put in the game, and we are hoping to see things like new star systems like Nyx or Pyro or both, examples of missions and other gameplay and features that might work better in a more sort of controlled, closed environment. It's certainly stuff that's not going to be ready for prime time, but it's going to be stuff that is ready to be shown off as a demo and go, look, this is what we're planning to do. We've got it working in a dev build to some extent. Some of it's obviously going to be a bit sort of staged. However, if you are a Star Citizen development fan and you have the time to watch, it should be pretty hype. There's going to be a lot going on, and the devs have been holding a lot back for CitizenCon. There's going to be a lot of community stuff as well. There's been a load of sort of community entries for 45-second videos, so expect to see a huge amount of them throughout the day. It's going to be for a good many hours. I'm expecting sort of like 8 hours throughout the day, but yeah, so it might not be viable to watch the whole thing. A lot of work has been done on the Pyro and Nyx system as well as jump points, and that's the sort of thing I'm expecting to see. Maybe some sort of space spells in the background at some point, that sort of thing. Maybe some other creatures too. If you can only watch certain things throughout the day, try to watch the gameplay demo, try to watch the keynote sort of roadmap update thing that they do, because that will give you the sort of most information about what's going on with Star Citizen and the most wow factor, it's likely they will want to show off things like the Redeemer and any new ships, as well as a few that are maybe not ready yet, but they can go, you know what, we can still show them off because we have the control here. We're going to cover that event, CitizenCon, to death on my channel and make loads of summaries of each of the presentations too, so bear that in mind. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, that's the thing I want to talk about next. This is a mostly in-game event and should be at Horizon Crusader this year at the end of November. Typically, almost every ship, including concepts and limited ships, are on sale during this period. It makes a huge amount of money for Cloud Imperium. This has an in-game expo and event hall where you'll be able to go to see different ships every day, and you'll be able to say, I want to rent that, and try those ships for free. They typically like to have a new ship or vehicle or two to have at this event as well, and you can expect a free-to-play event at the same time, so anyone can just make a Star Citizen account and just play for free during that period. It's typically a 10 to 14 day event, and we're going to see lots of different things each day at that expo hall. For CitizenCon and the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, as well as 3.15 and 3.16, we could see some new ships or vehicles. There have been lots of rumours and leaks about some of the stuff that we could see this year. An Anvil capital ship called the Longbow has been long rumoured. There's the 400 or 500i, potentially an Origin Luxury Constellation competitor ship. There's the Argo Raft, which is potentially a cargo ship. Or there's also a mobile refinery ship, which actually might be the Argo Raft as well. We're expecting to see a mobile refinery ship at some point. Typically, we will see a capital ship or variants turn up at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo or CitizenCon, and more generally, various variants are possible for many ships and vehicles as well. They've been working on a load, we know. Actually, something that I'm quite excited about, thinking about 3.15 and having your equipment proximate to you, they're going to need ground vehicles more often. You're going to need them to carry your items around, and especially with the looting and stuff like that, so hopefully ground vehicles will actually become a much more important thing. We know that there are a slew of yet-to-be-announced ships that Cloud Imperium are working on, and what I've mentioned is just some of the rumours of what we might see, and I'm interested to know what you think we could see this year. For the end of the year, with Alpha 3.16. This is typically released mid-December, at least to sort of like an open PTU state anyway. It's the Q4 patch, and there have been some development changes, as I mentioned earlier, in regards to release strategy, which means that features are going to be released to Squadron 42 when ready, then refined, have appropriate gameplay made for them, and then go to the Persistent Universe, where they'll be made Persistent Universe ready and all that sort of jazz. Previously, we had features made in sometimes isolation without features ready for them or more gameplay ready for them. So you can see this with things like trolleys or melee. There's not much reason to use them in the game yet, but they sort of like released them and they went, well, we're getting gameplay for them later. In the future now, they want a lot of that gameplay ready for those features before they release them. I'm expecting the 3.16 roadmap to change quite heavily over the next few weeks, and to be honest, we do not know really what is going to be in it now. Currently, you've got things like salvage. It was supposed to be there, at least it was the Tier 0 hand tool-based salvage, but it sounds like they actually want to get more salvage mechanics grouped together before they release it. Though they might still release hand salvage if it was far enough along before they sort of made their development changes, so we'll have to wait and see. Salvage is something I don't really want to see slip again. I understand why it might, but I've sort of seen several years of salvage slipping off the radar. Various updates to player traversal and animations were sort of planned for 3.16, and the long-awaited Hull C cargo ship. Now, I think it's very likely we'll see the Hull C still, but I think that most of the rest of the 3.16 roadmap will change. So where would that leave 3.16? Well, I'm actually expecting them to go more into trying to get cargo updates, looting updates, bounty hunting, new missions and events like Jumptown version 2, stuff like that in. It makes a lot of sense. There is a huge amount of things that they can get sort of into a better state for Star Citizen and put a huge amount more flesh on the bones of things that are already there. Jumptown 2, for example, is the internal name for an event where a set of trade goods can be purchased at a cheap price from one area and sold at an enormous profit in another for a limited time. So the idea there is that it will be announced on the server and will aim to encourage player friction, risk and reward, and do that in a more dynamic way, and then you'll have people going fighting each other over these goods. You'll have people sending escorts. You'll have people doing it as an org, picking up a load of these trade goods and taking it to the place. And it'll be interesting to see. It's sort of like a open PvP event, if people want to do it that way, and it'll be very interesting to see how that sort of develops. We don't know when it's exactly coming though, but I think 3.16 makes sense. Cargo as well, that's in a bad state for Star Citizen. However, it does appear to be quite a big focus for them over the next few patches, as well as getting the game economy in a good state. So that's something that we might start to see more of in 3.16. And if they're not adding any big ticket sort of gameplay features, there's certainly, as I said, a lot more flesh on the bones they can get to the existing content. Also, things like persistent streaming tech, sort of the rescuing of servers when they crash or whatever from 30Ks and regenerating, the ability to track where the location of a ship is when a server crashes or logs off, or a specific item has been placed, which will enable in the future things like base building gameplay. But we've also got tech like Gen 12 Renderer with Vulkan integration, and a lot of potential ships that could be near completion as well, some of which could make it into 3.16. Also things like vehicle and ship spawning, modular room changes, stuff like that is very possible. However, better trading and selling would be great. That would be something as a, you know what, actually we're going to have this gameplay loop fully refined and have some cool gameplay associated with it. So what else? There's been some interesting work on the roadmap, so we might see some other features shown off or added to the game in the coming weeks. There's also work completed for things like player hubs being increased to house 100 per landing zone. That would only really be needed if they were looking to integrate server meshing or up the server limits soon, although it might have just been internal work getting server meshing more prepared, because we do know that they are wanting to put out Tier 0 or the first stage of server meshing probably towards the middle of next year. So yes, there's a lot going on with Star Citizen over the next quarter for sure, and into 2022. We are in the run-up for CitizenCon and those last two major patches for the year. I'm expecting some good stuff from CitizenCon. Now, there's a lot less that can go wrong this year. They are basically on their home turf. They're able to pre-record a lot of CitizenCon. They are at their home studios. They're not at a foreign venue. So let's hope everything goes well. Let's hope it all works well. Let's hope there's no terrible cringe moments, or if they are, we can all laugh at them rather than go, oh my god, what is this? What have I backed? But I've rambled on enough. I'm looking forward to 3.16, 3.15, CitizenCon, Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, the rest of this year for sure. But what do you think? What might we see at CitizenCon? What new ships do you think might go on sale? What features could make it in for Alpha 3.16? Will we see Jumptown version 2 later this year? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Some people say I shill for NordVPN, but listen to some of these comments that I just made up. I've never felt the love of a woman before, but then I got NordVPN, and that didn't matter. Doctor said I'd never walk again, but then I got NordVPN. Now I've been running marathons. Also, I got robot legs around the same time. They might have helped somewhat too. I was a tone-deaf pirate, but after getting NordVPN, I'm able to play the saxophone. Go on, Zin, try and animate all of this. Click the links below to get NordVPN. It might lead you to a more fulfilling life, but more likely, it will just help protect you from the terrors of the internet. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For September, it's for another Mercury Star Runner. I love that ship. It's a great way to try a huge portion of Star Citizen's gameplay. If you want a chance of winning that, just comment on any of my videos made during the month. If you'd like to further support the channel, be sure to check out that join button underneath my videos. There's also links to my Patreon, which also helps loads as well, direct donations, and just commenting, subscribing, liking, all that sort of jazz goes a huge way to helping the channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You take care, and I hope to see you in the verse.